love reading quite a lot, and I like to learn about the different effects different methods of learning can have. So one thing that we did before is we created, these, where are they gone? These cartoon strips um, for making alpha bungarotoxin, anti-venom, and really weirdly peculiar sounding words. And that's the point of this. One, you've got to learn the key words, but two, you've got to also understand and learn. So this is biology revision. It says GCSE, it really doesn't matter. I'm just reusing this, and these are the key terms. So the difference between doing GCSE and being your age is, at your age you learn the words, and at GCSE you learn to solve problems with them. So we're going to recap the words, and I'm going to go through what they mean, what's important in what they mean. So let's start from the beginning. All right, a communicable disease. A communicable disease, let me get my teeth in, a communicable disease is something that you can spread from one, now we tend to say from one person to another, but by now you should really know that we talked about plants as well. So it's from one organism to another, and it's caused by a pathogen. A pathogen is a microorganism, and there are 4 types you need to know: viruses, bacteria, fungi, and protists. Now, viruses are not alive. They need to hijack one of our cells, and I hope you remember me using that term, hijack. They take over our cells and use our cells to make more of their own virus particles. Bacteria are very small, they're alive, they're the simplest of cells, and they produce toxins. And the common one in England that we get a lot of is salmonella. My writing is disgusting. Salmonella. And that is what causes things like diarrhea when you don't cook your food properly in terms of chicken. That's caused by a bacteria. And it's the toxins, the little poisons they produce inside you that cause you to get the poops. All right. Another group of pathogens, the fungi. And the one you need to know about is athlete's foot. Grows on your toenails, causes itchy feet. Athlete's foot is the fungi feeding off the dead cells of your dead cells. The really important one is protists. This is the biggest killer of people on this planet, and the disease caused by protists is malaria. Okay, this is something that I'm going to talk about quite a lot as years progress. Ooh, tea, thank you. Now, protists are brilliant. They are, well, brilliant as an organism. I find them very interesting. I don't find malaria interesting at all. I've had it. I had it when I was about 13, about your age, and it's a horrible, horrible disease. But it's spread by vectors, and a vector is an organism that carries it. So in terms of malaria, it's carried by mosquitoes. Mosquitoes are the vector. Mosquitoes don't cause malaria, they carry plasmodium that causes malaria. The other way that we can transmit and spread disease is sneezing. So when you're ill and you sneeze on people, that's one way of spreading a virus. Now, so the human defense system, one of our primary defense systems is the skin. It actually stops getting things inside you. The other is mucus. Mucus, or what you young ones would call bogies or snot, actually has a job. It traps microbes and then they come out. So you'll notice people, if they're slightly ill or they'll start producing more mucus, it's their body trapping microbes and getting rid of them. The other thing that you have is acid in your stomach. It's actually, let's do a bit of chemistry, HCl, hydrochloric acid. And when you eat food, it's covered in bacteria. Everything's covered in bacteria, even you are right now. And when you eat food and it gets to your stomach, the acid in your stomach kills all the bacteria. The interesting one is, I thought I'd add on, tears. Right? And you are constantly producing tears. When you really start crying, that's different. You have, lots of tears running down your face. But tears, they contain enzymes that actually destroy bacteria. All right. The other thing that we looked at was the immune response, and it is elicited, it is caused by white blood cells. And there are two main types. The first type are phagocytes. These are large blood cells, white blood cells, that engulf bacteria. So that's a bacteria. This is a white blood cell just going munch and eating it. And that's called phagocytosis, right? Where a phagocyte engulfs and then it chomps it up. Now, the other thing that I talked about was how Fluffy the bunny rabbit got it when we injected Fluffy the bunny rabbit with snake venom so it would make antibodies. And it is lymphocytes, these white blood cells, that make antibodies. Now, antigens are markers, whether it's markers on the surface of pathogen, but you know that that's not the only one, because I said to you, we've all got markers on our cells that tell us we are us. And one of them is blood groups A, B, and O. And antibodies, that little protein made by lymphocytes that attach onto antigens. And an antitoxin is a chemical that neutralizes toxins. Okay, now, vaccination is something that a lot of you will have gone through. And the way that it works is, if you remember Fluffy the bunny rabbit, we injected it with snake venom, and its body went, whoa! But remember, we didn't give it too much snake venom. In the same way, you take a dead bacteria or a dead virus and you inject it into someone, and the body goes, whoa, that's not me. And it has an immune response. And then what it does is it creates memory cells. And these memory cells know about that bacteria, they know about that virus. This is vaccination. The medicines that you need to know about, the ones that we use quite a lot, antibiotics. However, they only kill bacteria, not viruses. And I do that, I'll turn around and say, influenza is caused by a virus. Someone said that they should take antibiotics. That's not a very good idea. Why not? Because if it's a virus, antibiotics won't kill it. Some bacteria, they become resistant because we use too many antibiotics. Last session we looked at TMV, tobacco mosaic virus, rose black spot. The moment you damage the leaf of a plant, you reduce photosynthesis. It drops. Okay? And if photosynthesis drops, the plant doesn't make enough glucose, and therefore the plant does not grow as much, and it is stunted. I hope, especially this time of year, you guys get out, and you touch plants, and certain plants are very smooth on the top, very waxy. And that's the way that a plant can protect itself. Right? It's waterproof, it stops bacteria getting into it and even viruses. They have cell walls, and they can also produce chemicals. But there are other things. There are, and we looked at where plants have got spikes and needles and things like that to stop herbivores eating them. So these are all the key words you need to know. And as per usual, I've recorded this intro, so if you want to go back onto it, or if you're a bit late, once you've done that, these are questions. All right? They start off easy. It's 10 easy, 10 medium, 10 hard. And the thing I'm going to say to you is, last week, you guys, as a year 7 class, and I'm talking I teach year 7, year 8, year 9, and year 10. And actually, compared to, year 10, you guys were brilliant. I'm not going to compare to year 8. You outperformed year 8, but you outperformed year 10. You tried, you gave it a shot, and I was absolutely impressed with you guys. So, try these questions. And as last week, I don't care if you're right or wrong. That attempt at getting the answer is how your brain changes. Your brain grows. And it grows fast. All right, so it's going to change now, and it's going to keep growing till you're 20. I'm in my 50s. My brain has done no growing in 30 years. But you're young, and I was really, I will say things. If I say to you, I'm impressed by something, you realize it's not something I say a lot. And when I say it, I mean it. And I was really impressed with your work last session. So, I'm just on my